ask what you're going to ask,
Yeah.
so I can't,
right.
I was like, I have time to prepare myself,
No,
but no, none of that.
There's no fun in preparation. I mean, come on, Mike.
I've said that for years.
Yeah, right.
Why
Right.
prepare when you can wing?
Right.
We are the kings of wing.
So
Should I look at the camera?
Yeah. I mean, or us. I mean, the whole thing is. Well, let me, because I'm butchering the intro right now. Hello and welcome to We Are the Remedy. I know we've got things that go along with that, but I'm completely derailed right now. Mike, tell us what the We Are the Remedy is all about.
We believe that we can solution here and help people and help them and us be the medicine for a better local community and regional community and better national and global community by just being good neighbors. And we're not therapists, we're not counselors, we're not social workers. We're just your neighbors helping you and us find solutions to help you with things we can do to make things easier for you, better for you and your families. That's kind of basically what We Are the Remedy is all about. There is no I in team, but there is an I in community unity. There is an I in neighbor. There is an I in friends. That's what we're about.
And speaking of neighbors and friends, today we have with us Zack, or Zachary. Which one do you prefer? Zach?
Either one, Zach's good.
Zach and Cisco, and both of them are with Sale MS for the lack of better terms. But I met Zach recently, and we did a project for Sale MS and helping tell their story. And then they were kind enough to take us out on a Taste of Sale journey, which our few of our team members were a little apprehensive about, just because they were nervous and didn't know what to expect. But at the end of it, they were blown away with how comfortable and safe they felt in the experience, and being able to take the helm and be in charge. And I think for me at one point being behind the wheel, just having my team's life and people's life at my hands, kind of a empowering moment to take the helm and take charge. So and Zach, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about Sale MS and your mission with Sale MS?
All right, so Sale MS, the premise is pretty simple. We are a group of multiple sclerosis warriors. All of us have multiple sclerosis that are involved in the foundation. And I'm a sailor by trade. I spent all my 20s and late teens on tugboats. And I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis and was unable to work any longer in my trade because it requires me to stay up all night all the time. And I went through a period of depression and didn't know where my life was going to go without the ocean involved in it. And I didn't know how I would be reacting with the environment that I wanted to be in any longer. And I met Captain Eugenie Russell, who's a notable sailboat captain here in Northern California. And it brought me back to life. She taught me how to sail, and the light went back on for me. And I felt as though, okay, I can do this. I can make it through as long as I can be out on the water sailing. This works for me. And it was a very empowering experience for myself. And it brought me out of that depression, and I decided to take that experience to other people living with multiple sclerosis because it's a tough diagnosis to live with, a lot of uncertainty, and it's a young adult disease. The average age of diagnosis is 29 years old, and we don't know if we're going to be in wheelchairs in 15 years or 10 years or 3 years or ever, but it affects all of us significantly, and sailing helps with a lot of it. It really does. And I brought here today Francisco, who is the first, real regular participant that I found who I didn't have a prior connection to. And I've gotten to watch his transformation and see, a proof of concept it working in his life, how sailing has positively impacted him. And it's awesome.
That is awesome.
It's a great story. I mean,
Yeah.
This is amazing. I had no clue. I had no idea. Good. This is amazing to hear. Tell us a little bit about what you've learned about yourself from sailing and stuff and being involved.
I still feel like there's a long road of like, self-alignment and figuring myself out in that aspect. I mean, I've only been doing it for just roughly about 2 months.
Good.
And but I could tell you, like, before that, you know, the question of what you asked before this started, you know, what am I doing?
Right.
I wasn't doing much. You know, pandemic rolled in, and it was just like it just kind of knocked everything I had on my schedule. My whole routine was just gone.
Not just for you, but an entire world.
The whole,
right?
the whole planet.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just like,
wow.
so I wasn't doing much, and you know, still trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. And then I was on an MS forum, and you know, this guy is like, hey, you know, does anybody want to come on a sailboat free of charge? You know, if you have MS, you know, you're gonna be on the boat with them other MS warriors. And I was just like, might as well. Right. You know, I mean, he's leaving out of Richmond Marina. I live in Richmond, and I'm just like, you know, okay, let me go check it out.
I'm in.
And then now I'm like, pretty much like on the water with them like almost every week. Yeah, and it's just.
What has it done for you?
I could tell you that what it's done for me. It has like gave me another purpose.
Got it.
You know, I know that before going out on that boat, I was really second guessing myself. There was a lot of like confidence issues as far as like what I can do, what I can't do, and you know this and that. But if I'm on the sailboat, it's just like it's kind of like leaving it up to God. You know, I don't even know how to swim.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just like being on the boat that goes like this and goes like this, and you know, like, and having that mess and having balance issues. That was like it was kind of like a real. All my spider senses were telling me, you know, like don't do it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not safe, and it's just like so. It made me overcome an obstacle.
Your fear.
Yeah.
There's a line I use with kids, and I say, fear is the little dark room where negatives are developed. And you've conquered fear.
Yeah.
I mean, this is powerful. This is powerful for your heart and your spirit, right? And that's how we heal. Yeah. And we heal by not being afraid of those things that we can help conquer. You find that, Zack?
Absolutely. So multiple sclerosis is a funny disease. A lot of people don't know about it. You know, there's a big push behind multiple sclerosis awareness, but still, the vast community. Right. If you said, "What is multiple sclerosis?" nobody could really. Very few people could tell you what it is unless they have more of a personal connection with it. Right. And what multiple sclerosis is where your own immune system attacks your nervous system. Your lymphocytes attack your myelin, which, if you think about an electrical system, is the wiring, right? And the myelin is the insulation. So when you have multiple sclerosis, your own fighter cells in your immune system eat away your insulation, so you get short circuits. And there's different types of called lesions in your spinal cord and your brain. It leads to cognitive disabilities, physical disabilities. And when people get diagnosed with it, they're scared. I did. I was terrified. Right. I was just, you know, and then you look on the MS forums, which are largely negative.
Right.
And that scared me even more, right? So I had all this fear wrapped up within that. I still have that fear. Yeah. I still have it. But sailing and doing this as a group of people, I believe that fear makes people go downhill a lot quicker. If you look at the statistics with multiple sclerosis, you know, within 5 or 6 years, the majority of people that have an MS diagnosis are unemployed. And that isn't necessarily because of a physical disability. It's about fear. And fear makes people go downhill quicker than anything else. And so when we get people on a boat and they conquer their fear, in some ways that's actually conquering the disease they have. Wow. Right? They're fighting back and showing themselves and their body and their mind and their spirit that they're not going to be taken down and dictated what they can and cannot do by this. Right? Mm-hmm. And
you know who I met today who's amazing? You. Because you learned so much to help educate and encourage other young spirits to come with you on the journey of being a warrior. And you're being a warrior for yourself. I did a movie about a guy named Robin Williams, and the name of the movie was called Robin's Wish. And his wish was we would have the kind of courage that both of you are displaying right now. This is the courage. Learn everything you can. Now, he never had a chance to learn about Lewy body dementia, which is what took him from us. But you just went out and you just started to learn about what you were going to be facing. Why is it so important for I know it is for me because I have a friend, Mary, who is a disc jockey up in Seattle, who has MS and has been a warrior for years. And wow. I mean, both of you. I'm very proud of you. I'm honored to know both of you because you're helping each other and community unity, and you're inspiring and teaching others. Inspire comes from the Greek term to breathe in the spirit. Why is it so important to stay unified in helping each other like that, Zach, and as well, Cisco? Why?
What do you think?
I'm gonna go off on a limb here and say that's something that is just like it's like intuitive to like the human species. It's I mean, we're just meant to work with each other. Yeah. And I think once that happens and once we're all kind of synced in,
Right.
it's kind of like we're unstoppable.
Wow.
We find strength that we didn't know was there.
That's your word.
Yeah, and so I'm going to tell the story about Pamela. Yeah. So we took someone sailing last week. Her name's Pamela, and she was running half marathons 3 years ago, and she was diagnosed with primary progressive multiple sclerosis. There's a few different types of multiple sclerosis.
Right.
Primary progressive and secondary progressive are the more serious forms of the disease. And she had spinal cord lesions all up and down her spine, and she now has mobility issues. Her left leg hardly works anymore, right? And I was a little nervous about bringing her with, and I asked her, can you stand on your own for an hour? She said, yeah, sure, I can do that. I just need to be well rested, and I'll make it happen. And she came out, and she had never met anybody with multiple sclerosis before. She'd been on forums on Facebook, and she had talked to people on the phone and was participating in these kind of Zoom support groups. But, getting this experience, and how powerful is that? The first time she ever met anybody with multiple sclerosis was me, Francisco, and my oldest brother, Thorne, who also has multiple sclerosis, and went out on a sailboat with us. And she crushed it. She crushed it.
Yes.
She was at the helm of the sailboat for an hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours that day. And she didn't need somebody standing next to her holding her up. She made it happen on her own, and she did great, And then at the end of the day, she was like, that was amazing, Yes. And then she asked me, hey, can I help with the organization? Can I, volunteer some time? And we're like, yeah, we have open arms, and she wants to come again, and we're going to make it happen. And together, there's a real camaraderie. And my goal is to create a community of unity with people that are all fighting the same thing, which is multiple sclerosis in this instance, and really draw power from one another. Because at any one time, say we have a group of 10 people, at any one time, there's going to be 2 or 3 of those people who are low. Maybe they're going through a relapse. Maybe their body isn't quite working anymore because this thing's scary. Like, I don't know how my legs are going to feel tomorrow, and people don't know. For instance, my oldest brother, he woke up and fell, rolled over. He found out he had MS because he woke up in the morning and fell flat on his face when he tried to get out of bed, and his legs didn't work for 3 weeks, and he had no idea what was wrong with him. And, so as a group of people, being able to lift each other up, even off the boat, right? We talk to each other on a daily basis, and I'm trying to form a crew in nautical terms, a crew of people with MS that are really supporting each other in all aspects, not just on a sailboat.
Mm-hmm. What drives you?
I love the ocean. I mean, it's part of my soul.
Yes.
And also the feeling that I get. I mean, that's where I connect with my higher power.
Right. Yes.
Because, if you ask the common person, when was the last time you were 100% present for 4 hours? Wow. In this day and age, in cell phone times, I mean, some people years. And when you're out there with a group of people on a sailboat operating as a crew, I mean, it's not the safest activity, right?
Right.
I mean, we're participating in an activity that has inherent dangers in a very dangerous environment.
Right.
When Cisco told me that he can't swim and he doesn't want to come with, I said, well, just so you know, if you fall off the boat, you're 100% reliant on me coming to get you.
Yeah.
And a life vest to keep you afloat. And if for some reason we can't come pick you up and you're in the water in San Francisco Bay, even if you're a world-class swimmer, it ain't gonna save your life.
Right.
So, you know, we, you know, there's a lot of just, I love so much being in the moment out there in that environment. You know, I like the risk of it.
And the respect for the ocean.
And the respect for the ocean and the environment that we're
Yes.
in. And we're 100% reliant on one another to keep us safe.
So Cisco, going into that experience without having prior experience in sailing or anything like that, what was your biggest fear going into that?
Falling off the boat. I would say, you know, just falling off the boat. I had a long time ago. I was in Mexico. I had a bad experience. I fell off a jet ski and got towed back to shore. But in the process, I ran into a school of jellyfish. So after that, it was just like I never really went back into the ocean again.
Right.
So you know,
Trauma, right?
it's trauma. Yeah. So you know that I would say that's one of them. It's also kind of like there's also kind of like the anxiety of meeting new people. You know, and relying on other people that I don't know.
So honest. So honest.
So it's like-
That's good.
How did it feel to place your trust in someone that you didn't really know in that capacity?
I think that decision was made the night before, where I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna just go. You know, and I think about a half hour into putting up the sails and actually being behind the wheel, you know, on the helm, it was all gone. It was just like, especially when the boat went like that, it was just like, I'm just like, I was just focused on not sliding down, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, but that's kind of like, you know, with Pamela, like that was one of the things. It's like, you see someone come on and being that at one point I couldn't walk or talk, you know, back in 2011. And knowing, like, kind of knowing how that feels, you know, to be in the beginning part of, like, you know, the stages, there's a lot going on in somebody's head. But to see her at the end of it and just see that light come back on, that's what, you know, really hit me. Yeah. And so that's where it really makes me want to dig in to this whole thing.
Do you remember, you kind of mentioned you were half hour into it at the helm, and do you remember what that experience was or that moment? Can you like describe it to us when you were like, let it go and you knew you were home in that sense?
I know exactly that moment and what I was feeling. There was nothing else on my mind except the ocean and the city line. That was it. And am I going in the right direction? Like that, I mean, that's really it. It's like, because for you know, the 4 or 5 hours we're on the water, whoever's on the boat, chances are they're not thinking about the disease. Right. They're not thinking about, you know, like the kind of like the, you know, how hard things can be. Right. They're just thinking about being on the water and being around like a crew and being around like friends.
What does that do for you, being not thinking about the disease, even for that 4 hours?
I'm living. Just living life. Just living. So.
Well, I always tell the little kids in kindergarten the best ship to sail on is friendship, companionship, partnership, relationship.
That's a good one.
Boom.
Yeah.
It's all yours.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be out teaching like he does now. The more you listen to him, the more he helps you and others understand. What'd you learn about conquering your fears? Both of you. What'd you learn about conquering what you have to? You have to conquer your own fear because it's internal. A kid told me this one time. I thought it was amazing. I said, hey, don't overstand people. Understand people. A little kid, 4th grader, goes like this. Cisco. Mr. Mike, don't you think we need understanding? Understanding of ourselves and others. Isn't that just as important?
Ooh, damn.
Exactly.
Wow.
What did you learn about yourself and understanding? Both of you. Conquering those fears, man. And what has it done for you?
So maybe about 5 years ago, I heard this. It's like a different definition of the word fear, and it's an acronym: false evidence appearing real. Yeah, sure. And that was probably one of the first times where it was just all in my head.
Yes. Yes.
So.
Yeah. And what did you learn about your heart and the ability to have that courage, which is Cour is the French word for heart. Encourage, give strength to the heart, not discourage, take strength away. What did you do to encourage your heart to face the journey with Zack?
What?
Face the journey. I mean, you're getting on a boat. You're not being able to swim. You're risking everything. And you're relying on friendships and love and compassion from people you know. There's a really cool line by Dickens. He says, you know, at the end of all time we come to know, it's not always those we share our blood with that become our family, but those we might give our blood for that become our family. When you're out there, you're in a family.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
I can honestly say, like, it's, and I don't know if I'm really answering the question,
Yeah,
but
you are.
like, if
Yeah.
if I somehow fell off the boat
Right.
and I didn't make it on the boat, I think that I'd be okay. You know, it's like,
What does it do for you to hear that?
It's pretty cool. It's really awesome.
That's
you
what
know.
sailors are about.
That's what sailors are about. I've worked on boats, on commercial vessels since I was 18 years old, and I came to that conclusion a very long time ago that Cisco just did. That wow, you know, most likely if I go over the side, you know, I hate to say it, you know, just don't fall off the boat. That's what I told Cisco. Just don't fall off the boat because, you know, if you fall off the boat, there's a chance that you're not getting back on it, and you have to be okay with that. And you know, everybody that goes out sailing has to understand that to some respect. But at the end of the day, you know, what you touched on was that camaraderie. And what we're doing, the conquering of the fears, that family and camaraderie is just as important because
Yes.
one thing that MS does, it disconnects us from our own bodies and it also disconnects us from the community around us because we don't feel up to participating at the same level as other people. And another thing it does too, the way that our medical system operates and the way that everything kind of unfolds for a lot of us is we're become victims, right? And a lot of what I'm trying to do is smash that mentality,
Right.
you know. And when we get together as a family and make those connections, we're making our own family. You know, we don't want people to feel sorry for us. When I got diagnosed with MS, I mean, I didn't even want to talk to people about it because, you know, people wanted to give me this, oh, I'm sorry, you know, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. I don't want to hear that. I don't need your I'm sorry. You know, I understand you're compassionate and have empathy for me, but that's not what we're about. We're about what are you going to do about it? That's the right answer. You know, you got diagnosed with MS. What are you going to do about it? Right?
I really like both of you guys a lot. I have a brother who's a sailor. We lost him this past year, and he was a Marine and a sailor. And I have a funny feeling he's in the room right now with me, and he got you guys to be sitting here with me because I got overwhelmed just listening to you two, because he had the exact same approach to life that both of you do, and this is the courage that it takes to live without the fear that things can attach to us that we have no control over. And what we do choose to do with what is given to us and thrown at us is really powerful and important. And that gathering and bonding together and creating things that give us that wellness. I is illness, but we is wellness.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's full of good ones.
Yeah.
I've lived a life, man.
Yes,
I've
well-
lived a life. I've lived a life teaching everything that you're doing, and saying to young people that what we do to help each other, lift each other up, is way more important than wealth or privilege or even fame or fortune. Those things are fleeting at best. But being an inspiring leader, being an inspiring person for yourself, and finding the core of strength in your soul, that can't be measured, right? That can't be measured. And this is great stuff. What you're doing, you're helping others, and I hope you continue to teach and explain just as you have today, eloquently. I mean, with incredible wisdom. What did you learn today? Because I always ask you that. Because I mean, He was my student at one point. Now he's my best teacher. He and the kids at this, I call them kids, and they're all in their 40s. But they're brilliant at what we do and helping in community. What did you learn today that hits you?
I mean, the biggest thing I think is like you said, with MS, obviously I don't have that experience, right? But the thing that connects is like you're handed life or whatever your life is,
Right.
and you can either take it or you can do something with it.
Right.
And I think that's what the most empowering thing is it goes back to kind of one of the questions is, after you had MS, when you got diagnosed with MS and you went through the treatments and you went, you know what is my life going to be like? What do I want to do with it? And out of that, I mean, tell me more about that moment, because you could have gone and jumped back on a tugboat, right? You could have found something that got you back on the ocean, but why sail MS, and how did that come to you?
Well, it came to me in the exact moment that the words exited the neurologist's mouth, literally, because I've wanted to sail around the world my whole life. That's been like, it's number one on the bucket list.
Yeah.
Is like, I want to sail around the world. And, now I've kind of come to grips, if I sail across an ocean or two, that'll be cool too. I know, sailing around the ocean, or around the world, you got to go into the Southern Ocean. South America, South Africa, south of Australia, and that ocean's wicked. And I don't know if I want to go down there. But regardless, like the Baja that we want to do at the end of this year, right? We're going to be sailing from San Francisco to San Diego to Cabo San Lucas, and Cabo San Lucas to Puerto Vallarta. We're going to be in the ocean, right? And the moment that it exited the neurologist's mouth, I was like, I can't do that. I'm not going to get to do that. And like my heart broke in that moment. And then simultaneously, that fighter inside of me said, no, you need to do that as soon as possible.
Right.
You need to not quit your dicking around in whatever you're doing over here. Right? Quit your dicking around trying to make money and hustle around making money so that one day you can have the life you dream about.
Right.
Make it happen right now.
Right.
And that's really what pushed me along, was like, hey, you need to do what you want to do now, because I don't know the life I'm going to have later. And the truth be told about MS and the uncertainty that it brings and the fear that it brings, everybody's got that, right? None of us know that we're going to be here tomorrow. Right. Absolutely none of us. Right. So really that veil of certainty that the average person has is taken away. But it's all an illusion anyway.
Correct.
So it dissolves, and it really brings into focus what is truly, truly important for most people. I mean, I spent my life conquering a lot of fears, so I kind of got lucky with, hey, I got diagnosed with MS, and I still have a lot of fear over it that I have not conquered yet. And I need to work on that, because a lot of my compatriots are like, I'm a newly diagnosed person. I got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis two years ago. Okay. Francisco got diagnosed, a decade ago. Right. So Francisco's a lot further down the road with understanding how we're living, and I have a lot to learn from him about how to live with this, and
brilliantly put.
So I'm really putting we're putting this community together to go through this as a crew, not alone. Because a lot of us with MS, we feel alone because we get victimized, we become victims, and then we feel alone and separated and less than or not good enough, and we can't do this and we can't do that. We can't,
Look at what you can
participate.
teach all these folks who are just coming out of COVID right now. About isolation, loneliness, anxiety. All of these young people, they need to hear you speaking on this. You need to be doing more of these and creating your own podcast for this. This is good stuff, man.
So Robert Munns is the founder of an organization called Oceans of Hope UK.
Right.
Oceans of Hope Challenge UK. Right. And so even before I learned how to sail, I got in touch with an organization called Sailing Sclerosis and Oceans of Hope. It's a Danish nonprofit charity who It was founded by a neurologist who gave a guy a diagnosis who had just built a boat in his backyard for a decade whose leg stopped working. And he saw his dream shatter in that moment. And he said, in that moment as a sailor, I knew in that moment I wanted to take people with MS sailing around the world. And he did. He did a full circumnavigation with multiple sclerosis patients on board. And then out of that, he met an individual, Robert Munns, who was the manager of Brighton Marina, or worked at the Brighton Marina at the time, and it was a prospective stop. And he had kind of was still in some denial over multiple sclerosis, hadn't really processed it very well.
Yeah.
And then when he met them, he was like, boom, in that moment, he was like, I got to be a part of that. Right. And then he founded the UK branch of this organization. And me and him talk a lot. And that's one of the things that we've spoken about in groups. And we have a group of people that are part of disabled sailor charities that we talk about regularly. And he said, everybody knows how we feel now. You know, the whole world has solidarity with us for once.
Exactly.
Because now everybody knows what it feels
You're
like
lighting
to be
candles.
isolated. And it's I think personally, the biggest fear comes out of uncertainty. Nobody likes that feeling of uncertainty, but the absolute truth is there is no certainty. And being able to live within that space in a positive way is the goal for every human being on earth, you know, and having faith that we're going to be okay, right? And so I agree, you know, the world knows what it's like now to live with an illness that brings all this uncertainty into our life, because we just went through a period of time where nobody had any certainty for anything.
So I tell kids all the time, Zack, don't wait for the light at the end of the tunnel. Become the light going through the tunnel. Glow in the dark as you go. And this is exactly what you're doing. These are the choices that we have to make. And, you know, I have 2 words for you. TED Talk. TED Talk. And you know I'm right. TED Talk. TED Talk. Because more people need to hear you. More people need to hear you. And Cisco and I will be there going,
Oh, yeah.
okay,
Let's
now,
do it.
Right.
okay. There's
I was gonna say, I just keep getting the thing, and I'm sitting next to a ball of fire.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know. Like I, you know, the thing I've learned over the years is like, you know, to either live in your flame or live in your wax, right? And the wax is the stuff that you trudge through. And I know that, you know, running a nonprofit organization, there's lots of trudging, right?
Right.
But what gets you going, I can only assume, because it's what gets me going and running our nonprofit, is by trudging through some of that wax, it allows you to live in that flame and bring more people into that flame and bring more people together to make that flame bigger. And hopefully at some point or another, you won't have to play in the wax at all.
I needed other people's flames to keep me lit the last few weeks. I mean, you know, I've been, you know, in this process of building this organization. It's mostly self-funded.
Right.
You know, we have, as you know, we're working together, right? You've seen all my books, right?
Yeah.
So I'm funding this whole thing for the most part. And it's like, ooh, I'm in the process of trying to buy a boat for this program, you know, and it's not, you know, none of it's a little bit. A great family member, Donna, she offered to put some money towards the vessel purchase, which really kicked me in the butt to move forward on that, right? And she was like, go buy it, you know, now's the time, do it now. And she's awesome. She's always saying, like, what you said, you know, be the light in the tunnel. Don't wait for the light at the end of the tunnel. Make it happen now, right now. That's the only way.
I was telling, many of the kids are faced with a lot of times young millennials. One of them, I said, try the word optimist stoic. Stoic belief. Every sailor is an optimist stoic. You have to go through storms to find safe harbors, and you got to get there. And I said optimist stoic, and he goes, yeah, but. No, Mr. Pritchard, we're millennials. We live in a constant state of anticipation.
Yeah, like, that's a good one.
I know. I go, no, anticipation won't work. There's no way to build hope in anticipation. If you're expecting things, disillusion to disappointment, you know, you're taking the light out of. You guys keep lighting candles. Just keep going. There's guys like Larry Ellison who's going to see this. There's guys like Tom Perkins' whole organization, Kleiner Perkins. They're going to see this. They're sailing folks. Ted Turner is a sailor. They sponsor things. Send this stuff off.
Yeah.
Let them feel you.
And if you happen to have a direct connection to any of those people that Michael just mentioned, that would be someone to let us know so that we can get in contact with you to get in contact with them.
Yeah, because here's the point. Yes is out there. Mm-hmm. I promise you that's true. And there's so many philanthropy people. They'll feel you. You know, people don't hear you guys. They feel you.
Yeah.
And because this could be my son, my daughter, my cousin, my niece, my neighbor's kid with MS. What am I willing to figure out about all the money I might have saved? Because the rich always want to be richer and the powerful always want more power, but you got to leave the happy alone. If you figure out, folks, that you can make a difference, do so. That's what this is all about, this crazy, great, big world. And, you know, that butterfly always comes from a cocoon that was harboring a little caterpillar that took its time trying to look around. And all of a sudden, after it turns to goo, it morphs into this incredible butterfly. And it takes itself to places it never dreamed of as a caterpillar. That's the journey here. The journey is what you guys are doing. And you're not doing this for yourself, either one of you. You're doing it because there's kids out there that'll see you and hear you, and they'll be inspired, and they'll pull in. I had this high school kid that I kept looking at, and I kept saying to myself, this guy's really smart. And then I wound up in his studio.
21 years later, or whatever the heck it's been.
Yeah.
So, okay, we're getting towards the end. I mean, it never really is the end, but we're getting towards the end of this program.
And the beginning of getting a group of folks to get together around the world, yeah.
Well, and I think you kind of talked about a little bit, like, you know, feeling not good enough, feeling alone. I know you had a kind of a moment. I don't know if you want to say anything more about that, or if it's past, but, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to do with just MS. No. Like what you guys talked about. Like, I mean, I've been fortunate that I'm alive, right? I know that I should have died at least 7 times in my life. You know, I have a scar in my head to remind me that, you know, I need to make better decisions sometimes. But I'm insanely fortunate, and I felt alone. I felt alone a majority part of my beginning of my life. What's the message of, what's the flame that you want to pass on right now? What's the message of not being alone, whether you have MS or not?
My message would be, you know, is just take that leap of faith. You know, you don't know what's on the other end unless you go and check. That's it. Yeah. And for the past, like, almost a decade, I've been doing that, just taking leaps of faith. And every time I do that, it hasn't stirred me wrong. So, like, some good things have come out of it. I got 7 years sober.
Nice.
You know, I got on a sailboat with Zack.
Yeah.
I'm sailing.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Also, I'm like a certified health coach. Nice. I did that. And so, I mean, I have a lot to offer back because I just said, you know what? I'm just going to go. I'm going to do it. You know, it kind of feels right. I'm just going to do it. Yeah. Why not?
Right. That conversation is a self-conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of this is a self-conversation. Mine is, you know, don't let the fear of life dictate your life, right? That's what this message is for everybody. That's what it is for us. Right. Cisco and the group that I'm, you know, helping to create and we're creating together is helping us all conquer our fears, all simultaneously as a group of people.
Right.
And that is powerful. Right. You know, when you get a group of people moving through fear together as a group, some serious flame comes out of that, right? And when we get on that boat, and sail out onto the Golden Gate Bridge for San Diego for the event this fall. I mean, I'm gonna be scared, right? You know, anybody who gets on the ocean, going out into the ocean, doesn't have a little bit of fear is stupid. Right? And the moment that you think you got this, the ocean will give you a swift kick in the ass and let you know, you know what? Like, you got something new to learn, right? And so, really, my ultimate message is don't let fear rule your life. And really, all the treasure comes when you look in that cave with the dragons in it, right? And once you go in there and fight that monster, and you find that treasure, and you do it with other people that have some of the same fear, I don't think there's anything better.
How did you guys connect in the beginning?
On a multiple sclerosis forum on Facebook.
On a multiple sclerosis forum on Facebook.
Technology is so powerful.
Which is mostly commiseration.
Right, but you at least went through the effort of going out and trying to connect with someone else in one form or another.
Reach out.
Right. It may not have been the best platform, but it was the best platform at the time.
Right? I was struggling getting people involved.
Yeah.
I still am. Most recently, though, I had some success, and I have participants all lined up for our July 30th event, the last Friday of July that's full. And, Pamela really lit my fire lately. Watching her kind of blast through her fear and the situation that she's in and seeing that light come on for her, and then doing the short interview afterward with her. Because I'd been getting discouraged. Funding is difficult. I'm spending a lot of money. I'm having to do a lot of stuff I don't like to do. I hate paperwork, right? and I'm like, now I have to do so much paperwork. I don't want to do paperwork. I just want to go sailing, right? But I have to do the paperwork to go sailing. And I don't like to do that. And I'm like, why am I doing this? And then boom, Pamela comes in, and I'm like, that's why. That is why I'm doing that. And
the Pamelas that follow.
And the Pamelas and Ciscos that follow.
E. Cummings, the poet, said, "To be yourself in a whole world full of people trying desperately to make you be exactly like them is to fight the greatest battle that ever was or ever will be." And so, folks, hear what they're talking about. And there are folks out there who can make dreams come true. And we're asking you to hear this. And it's not just about listening, it's about hearing it and feeling this.
And then taking action.
Exactly.
I think the biggest message here is
Compassion,
take some action.
Yeah.
Right?
Compassion is action.
Take the leap of faith.
Yeah. And I'm proud of both of you and what you're doing for each other and other people. This is what community unity is all about. Anything you heard me say today, spread it around, because anything I said, anything you want me to write down, I'll do that, because this is what it's about. Get that message out there. Push that message. Light those candles, man. You guys are remarkable young men.
I got one more question. Where do you think you would be without Sail MS?
I would feel purposeless. And when I got diagnosed with MS, I had to attach a purpose to it almost immediately. Without attaching a purpose to what I was going through and how I was going to live with it in my life, it would have been a much darker place. And when I was allowed, when I found the purpose I wanted to attach it to, I could make it make sense in my head and get the courage to fight. That's what it was all about. And the main message here is, like, do you know somebody with MS who needs to go sailing? They might not want to go sailing, but they might need to, right? And everybody knows somebody with MS, or somebody, 1 in 400 people have multiple sclerosis. It's 1 in 400. It's fairly underdiagnosed, but the more participants that we can find, the more people we can touch, the more lives we can impact, I feel like the better we'll do. Of course, funding-wise, we really have no funding going on, and that doesn't concern me that much. I'm more concerned about finding people like Cisco and Pamela to go sailing, right? And I feel like the rest will follow, right?
Yes, it does. You never quit 1 minute before the miracle happens.
Yeah, right. Cisco, where do you think you would be right now if you didn't have Sail MS and Zack in your life?
Honestly, probably still feeling like alone. That would probably be the main thing. It's before Sail MS came into my life, like, I was really kind of there, just like in my little studio, and I probably not would have given up, but would have settled. Wow. and this kind of like it gave me like that second breath of life. So
our board right now is Francisco, Aaron, who I went through my treatment with in Mexico, and Cisco. And the three of us are having daily conversations, and we're totally becoming like a family. Yeah. I won't go into what, but Erin posted something. She's like, is this too much information yesterday? Right? And both of us are like,